All right. Welcome to today's video. Today is all about the big crazy cosmic weather that we're probably feeling the edge of right now. I have notes because we've got a lot to get through today and I want to make sure I get it right. So from Thursday, the 20th of April, Queensland time, so tomorrow, Queensland time, at 2:12 p.m, we will be having a new moon in Aries. But it is not just any new moon in Aries. It will be a total solar eclipse. Now, not just a total solar eclipse, but what they're calling a hybrid total solar eclipse. So this means that the moon is going to be, the shadow of the moon is going to be coming in between the Earth and the Sun, so much so that it will completely block out the Sun. And this will be at, in Queensland, it'll be between the times of 1:43 p.m. and 3:40 p.m. tomorrow. So this eclipse will be happening at that time in the afternoon. It'll take a couple of hours up. So it'll slowly move across. We won't see in Queensland the full solar eclipse. We're not in that full path. We'll see about, like at about 2:40, we'll see about 43% of what this eclipse is actually going to be. So hopefully it's not cloudy here tomorrow and we'll be able to see it. So my kids are super excited about this. But where you will get to see the full one will be parts of WA and other parts over the world. But the full one, it'll completely block out the sun. And then it's called hybrid because that's a total solar eclipse. And then the hybrid part of it is an annular solar eclipse, which means you'll get to then see a ring of fire around the moon, around that shadow. That is so cool. I can't wait to see the pictures that come from that tomorrow. I guess if you're in WA, lucky you. So this is a really rare eclipse, actually. The last one in Aries was about 17 years ago. And hybrid solar eclipses, you only get like 7 or a handful in a century. So this is quite rare, quite exciting. It's quite big. And that's why I've got my notes. So I make sure I get all of the information, all of the important information out to you guys. So energetically, what happens, you can sort of see, I can sort of feel into energetically, this is already an energy that we haven't worked with a lot, right? So being hybrid, like, let me take you back to Middle Ages times, okay? So back when we would probably use a lot more astrology to guide our lives, but also there'd be a lot, I would assume, a lot less sort of understanding of when you'd see these things, like you're out in your paddock and you're I don't know, growing your vegetables, and then all of a sudden the sun blacks out and you're like, oh my God, I have been forsaken by the gods, or, you know, like that kind of fear was around eclipses because there was a misunderstanding. They didn't really know what was going on. They felt like maybe they'd angered the gods or God. And then to see a ring of fire, you'd be like, oh my God, you know, like it would freak people out. So why I'm telling you this as a little bit of a background is because I just think it's really interesting. And also, to me, that kind of shapes like the energy of this eclipse, right? there's a lot of energy coming in, and to me it's that time. Eclipses are a time of taking our hands off the steering wheel because we are not in charge. And so this is a huge display of like something super unusual in the sky to show that we're not actually in control of anything. The sun and the moon are doing their thing. The universe is at play, right? We're not in control of anything. And this is a huge display of that. It's like, you think you got your shit under control? You think you know what you want? Well, I'm here to show you something beyond your expectations, beyond your limitations, your little ego's expectations and limitations. I'm going to blow that out of the water. So this is the energy of this solar eclipse. Super exciting. And the way that eclipses work is they come in runs of 2 or 3 in a row. So this time around we've got 2. We've got this solar eclipse happening on the 20th of April, and then 17 days later we'll have a lunar eclipse in Scorpio. So this is the eclipse portal, 17 days. And then usually in a year you'll have 2 or 3 of those eclipse portals open up. This year we only have 2, so we have this one now for 17 days, and then we have another one later on in the year. So we've got 17 days this portal opens up, and the beginning of this portal is in that Aries energy. Now Aries is all about direct action, clear boundaries, and working on making things happen without thinking about it. You're just doing it. This needs to happen, so we're going to do it. And it really want to emphasize the clear boundaries as well. It's like, this is my territory. This is where I'm working. This is how I deserve to be treated. That's all very Aries energy. So again, with the mix of the eclipse though, it's not, because normally new moons you would set intentions. You'd plant the seeds in that nice dark new moon, dark moon energy, and you'd plant those seeds, and then you would work on that over the next 6 months, or you would allow that to manifest over the next 6 months. But with an eclipse, it's slightly different. It's literally about taking your hands off the wheel. Your ego isn't going to make any co-creating right now. Your ego is going to take a back seat, and you're going to have to let your soul bring forth those messages to get you into a more harmonious alignment with your boundaries, with your direct action, with your communication. It'll be like a wake-up call, right? So the energy of these, the eclipse in Aries, is, like I said, hands off the steering wheel. Anything else will feel really clearly like you're pushing, like you're trying too hard, or you're pushing, and you will find you'll get roadblocks. So surrender, big word, surrender. Allow that action to sweep you away, really. I'm going to say it's at 29 degrees Aries as well. So this energy, the eclipse is at 29 degrees Aries, because we've already had an Aries new moon, the last new moon. So that was at the beginning of Aries. Now this one's like a culmination energy, like something that you've been working towards for a while now. It'll feel like over this next week and over this 17 days, it'll feel like the potential is for things to start falling into place. It'll all just be like blip, 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 falling into place. And it's like, oh, I've got this clear path. I can run with this. But the thing with it is you got to get out of the way, right? And if you're not getting out of the way, you will get that wake up call in a really, probably a really uncomfortable way, to get you out of the way, to get your ego out of the way, to get your little thinking mind about it out of the way. Because what soul and what the universe has planned for you is way bigger. It's way bigger than what your little desires are, right? So this is such a beautiful time to allow expansion, to allow yourself to surrender, and to allow the messages of the soul to really come forth and guide you at this time. And that is where magic can happen. So we've still got, the sun is still conjunct Jupiter, which is what I spoke about in one of my previous videos. You can have a look back at it. And that is that real magic energy of, because anything Jupiter touches, it makes it bigger, right? Abundance, it's the Midas touch. So there's still this real magic happening in the air. And then it's also going to be, this eclipse is also going to be conjunct the North Node. And now the North Node is all about destiny, right? So this is your soul's path. So it's really exciting, you know, like the potential to open up to this seeing clearly glimpses of your soul's path, and just having it drop in front of you, like something you've been working towards for a while now. So there's great potential with this eclipse. It's also going to be, well, the energy of Jupiter is still conjunct Chiron as well. Chiron's a little bit further away from the sun, so he's not going to be directly affecting the eclipse, but that energy is still in the background as well. And I refresh your memory that Jupiter working with Chiron is like the big brother coming into the wounded healer that's trying to work out his deepest core wounds. And so Jupiter comes in and say, hey buddy, I got your hand. Come on, let's go deep with these patterns. Let's blow them up so we can really see what we're looking at. And then with that light of awareness, you know, that's when we can clear this stuff. So that is still working in the background. So it's not necessarily an easy time. It's definitely like an alchemy. It's a time of alchemy, of really looking at our core patterns, our core wounds, and especially with this eclipse in energy, excuse me, what are the unconscious patterns? What are the unconscious trauma or pain that's driving our actions? So this is something that will really come to light with this particular eclipse, with this Aries eclipse. It's huge. It's huge. There's so much potential and alchemy up for grabs with this eclipse. So that's the beginning of the eclipse season. And this is something we're going to be working with for 17 days. And then, like I said, the eclipse will close out with a lunar eclipse in Scorpio. Super juicy. I'll speak more about that closer to the time, because we've got enough to kind of work with right now, right? With all of that eclipse Aries energy happening. It's a big time. It can feel really like, well, if you're feeling really foggy, unclear, ungrounded, trust that that's just your little self. That's just your ego self kind of feeling like, I have no idea what's going on. Because you know what? It doesn't. It has no idea, because the soul is way bigger and has a way bigger understanding of everything. So you just rest in that unknowing, rest in that cloudiness, get your feet on the ground, get into nature as much as you can, get some vitamin D on your skin if you can, because the sun, that'll help. And rest in the knowing that, or trust in the knowing that there is potential for much to be revealed if you are giving it space to be revealed, if you are allowing it and not pushing against it. So let go. Let go of the steering wheel is what we're doing. And to add to that, the day after, so April the 21st, Mercury's going retrograde. Bah, bah, bah. Nothing to be scared about. Going retrograde in Taurus, and it will be retrograde. Mercury will be retrograde for the entirety of this eclipse portal. So the eclipse portal closes out on the 6th of May. Mercury will station direct on the 14th of May. I'm just checking my notes, make sure I get it all right. So Mercury is all about communication. So yeah, check your notes, measure 3 times, cut once. Don't start any new projects. Don't create any new, it's always a good idea to, Mercury retrograde's always about rehashing and going over. If you do have to sign anything, make sure you read it 3 times, make sure you know your rights, all of that kind of stuff that goes along with Mercury retrograde. But it's more about not being scared about those things, but really taking the opportunity and the time to rehash, to go over, to reconcile how you're traveling within yourself, because it's in Taurus. So Taurus is all about self-worth and self-value, and how your self-worth and self-value is reflected in the material realm. So what foods are you eating to love yourself? What clothes are you wearing to love yourself? How does your home space look? And is that a reflection of your heart? This is the realm of Taurus. Taurus loves to feel good in the material realm. And we're going to look at that as a spiritual practice of how our own self-worth and self-value is a reflection of our material world. So Mercury going retrograde in Taurus gives us this opportunity to really look at, how am I valuing myself? Am I valuing myself? Am I loving myself? Where can I improve that? And, the typical thing is that you might get an ex send you a message. You don't need to be calling your exes to get that self-worth and that self-validation, and it's all going to come from within, right? This is what Mercury retrograde is saying. Hey, come back to yourself. Come back and love yourself. So that's a beautiful energy. It can be a little bit bumpy going along with this eclipse portal. Okay, so the reminder is to hands off the steering wheel, that's surrender. Allow the soul to drop those messages in and allow things to drop into place. No pushing, allowing things to drop into place, and really allowing yourself to focus on where you can love yourself more. These are my tips for this crazy cosmic energy that we're heading into, that we're on the edge of right now. These are my tips. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you've got any tips or how you're feeling the energy right now. I'd love to hear it. And also just be aware that it can be bumpy if we're pushing against the current. If we're still clinging on tightly to what our little mind wants, it goes beyond that. So it's easy to say, and easy for me to make this video, but trust me, I'm feeling it as well. I'm having to look at all of these things as well. Letting go, hands off the steering wheel. It's a huge practice. It's a daily practice. And I am wishing you all the best, and definitely let me know how you're going in the comments, because I can't wait to hear about it. So I'm sending you all the love and blessings for this eclipse season, and I'll speak to you soon. I'll let you know. I'll do another video closer towards the end of the eclipse portal, and that will be focusing more on the juicy Scorpio, that little saucy Scorpio lunar eclipse. All right, have a beautiful day. Mwah.